Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about a topic that affects us all, the future of mobility and what it means for our investment strategies. Tesla is working on a cybercab. That's a taxi without a driver. Imagine, no steering wheel, no pedals, just passengers. Sounds like science fiction, and it's not anymore. The technology already exists, but here's where it gets interesting. The biggest obstacles aren't technical. And today I'll show you two fundamental problems that don't just affect Tesla, but the entire innovation economy. And if you understand these two principles, you view your future investments completely differently. Let's dive in. Point one is a regulation conflict. When 20th century laws meet 21st century technology. And imagine this scenario. An engineer develops a medicine that saves life. It's been tested, it works, and the study results are clear. But he can't sell it. Why? Because there's a law from 1960 that says medicine must have a certain color that's technically impossible to produce. It's absurd, right? So that's exactly what's happening right now with our automotive industry, worldwide, including Europe as well. So Tesla is now testing Cybercab with a steering wheel, not because the engineers want it, not because their technology needs it, but only because their regulatory agencies require it. So in the US, that's the NHTSA, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, and here in Europe, we have similar hurdles through the EU type approval and national traffic regulations. But the kicker is, in the US, this is the federal regulation. And that means to change the fundamental, you need to vote from the entire US Congress. Not an agency decision, not an executive order. No, the entire Congress with hundreds of representatives would have to agree. And between 2017 and 2023, there were 4 major legislative attempts to allow autonomous vehicles without steering wheels, and all 4 have failed. And here in Europe, even more complicated. Here are 27 EU member states that need to agree, plus the EU Parliament, plus the EU Commission. And Germany alone has about a dozen relevant laws that would all be needed to be changed. And why is this so difficult? Because laws are always a compromise between hundreds of different interest groups. And the traditional auto industry, think about VW, BMW, Mercedes, doesn't want their business model to be disrupted too quickly. And labor unions have also legitimate concerns about hundreds of thousands of jobs for taxi drivers, truck drivers, logistic workers. And the insurance companies, they need to develop completely new risk models. And politicians are afraid of public backlash. And if accidents happens, they get all the backlash, even if overall the statistics would be better. So here's the bitter irony. In a frontal crash, for example, with an oncoming vehicle or in the rear end collision, the steering wheel can cause severe chest and head injuries. Modern airbags have reduced the risk significantly, but they haven't eliminated it. So in Germany alone, about 2,900 people have died in traffic accidents. And in 2023, according to the official statistics, in the EU, it was about 20,000 according to the EU Commission. And the traffic safety agencies themselves state that 95% of all serious traffic accidents are caused by human error. So by smartphones, fatigue, alcohol, speeding, these are the main killers on the road. And autonomous driving, such as the Tesla FSD, don't make these typical human errors. They don't get tired, they don't drink, they don't look at their phones. And the data published by Tesla from millions over driven kilometers suggests a significantly lower accident rate. But to be fair, comprehensive, independent, long-term studies are still missing to fully verify this. But however, the results so far look promising. This isn't a Tesla problem. This is a systematic problem of our time. We have regulations whose basic structure was written for a world without computers, sensors, or artificial intelligence. And Germany's traffic code was introduced in 1934. While it'd been amended hundreds of times since then, but the basic assumption come from that era. And here's where it becomes relevant for the European investors like us. Other regions are moving faster. China has created regulatory sandboxes where, there are test zones with relaxed regulations. So companies like XPeng can test autonomous flying vehicles. And these aren't like approved for the mass market yet, but China enables faster innovation cycles than Europe and the US. But individual US states like Nevada or Arizona also have much more progressive regulations. There, autonomous vehicles can already operate in limited areas without safety drivers. And if Europe is slowing down by cautious regulation while other regions are moving faster, we are not just losing technological leadership, but we are also losing economic power and jobs. And Germany was once a land of automotive industry, and with electric cars, they have already lost it. And if they lose the race with autonomous vehicles as well, that's a massive problem for them and for Europe as well. And anyone investing long term should think about this. But to be fair, Europe's more cautious approach could of course lead to higher safety standards, and that in the long run. So the question is, are we finding the right balance between innovation and safety? That's the question to ask. And point 2, humans are the biggest obstacle. Why fear changes everything. So now comes the second point, which might be even more fundamental. Even if all laws are perfect tomorrow, there's still the biggest obstacles, and that is ourselves. About 12 years ago, there was a study in the US, but the results apply everywhere. And the question was simple. Would you get into a car without a steering wheel and let a computer drive you? The answer was no. One participant said, "I'm a control freak. No way a computer is driving me around. I want a steering wheel in my hands." And believe me, here in Germany, the land of unlimited speed autobahns, and the attitude is even more extreme. We Germans are particularly have a strong relationship with our cars. The car isn't just a transportation. It's a status, it's freedom, it's control. So this human psychology in its purest form, we have a deep-rooted, almost evolutionary need for control. But the control we think is actually just a complete illusion. So think about it. You're driving on a country road at 100 kilometers per hour. A truck is coming your way at 80 kilometers per hour, and maybe 1.5 meters separated you from death. So if he just swerves to the right, you're gone. And you trust that truck driver. He isn't falling asleep, isn't distracted, isn't drunk, and you have zero control over him. None. But it feels okay because you're holding the steering wheel. Another example is you're at the Autobahn. You're driving 180 kilometers per hour in the left lane, and someone is driving 120 to your right. And if he just drifts a little bit to the left without looking, that's it. So the speed difference of 60 kilometers per hour, there's no chance to react. This happens every day on German Autobahns, but we don't think about it. It's all because we want to have the control. That's the irony. We feel safe with the illusion of control, even though reality shows us something completely different. But good news, humans learn. So we change through experience. Take Waymo. That's Google's self-driving taxi company, a subsidiary of Alphabet. And they're now operating in several US cities like San Francisco, Phoenix, Los Angeles, and thousands of rides have been done per day. So completely without a driver. And you know what happened? Acceptance rates exploded. People who initially said never tried it once out of curiosity, and then again, and then again. And suddenly they're ordering it regularly. Why? Because Real experience beats theoretical fear. After several rides where nothing happened, where the car drove more carefully than most human drivers, the brain starts to rethink. This is called exposure therapy, and that's in psychology. Because the more we are exposed to fear and realize nothing bad happens, the more fear disappears. And this is scientifically proven. So, and here's the most important thing or important lesson for investors. Technology is almost always already ready faster than society is willing to use it. Yeah, historical examples, for example. When the first elevators were built in the 1850s, people panicked. I'm not getting into that metal box hanging from a rope. Today, we don't even think about it. We take elevators to the office daily. Or for example, when the first trains ran, that was in the 1830s, doctors said they were seriously concerning and warning the people that the speeds over 30 km per hour were deadly to the human body. They actually believed this. Today we ride the ECA at 300 kilometers per hour and read our newspapers. Yeah. When the first commercial airplane took off in the 1920s, critics said humans can't fly. It's against nature. Today, over 200 million passengers fly from German airports alone each year. So flying is statistically the safest form of transportation. And social acceptance is the slowest part of every technology. Not the development, not the funding, but human willingness to change. And this has direct implication for your investments. So if you're investing in a company, developing new technology, you need to ask, not just does the technology work, but also how long until people are actually ready to use it. Tesla's FSD is technically very impressive and getting better constantly, but until most people are ready to ride without steering wheels, that's probably take years, maybe a decade or longer. Not because the technology isn't good enough, but because of the humans. They need time to build trust. And in Germany, with our particularly strong car culture, probably even longer than elsewhere. So this isn't criticism. This is simply human nature. So what does this mean for you specifically? First, if you're investing in future technologies, whether electric vehicles, AI, biotech, or renewable energy, don't just look at the technology. Look at the regulatory environment, which countries have. Do they have good laws, modern laws? Where is innovation supported? Where is it blocked? The regulatory environment is often more important than the technology itself. And secondly, have patience with disruptive innovations. Humans need time. Even if something is better, safer, cheaper, more efficient, that doesn't mean it will be adopted quickly. So build this timeline into your investment strategy, especially in cautious markets like, for example, in Germany. And the future isn't coming overnight, but is coming for sure. The only question is, will you be positioned early or will you just watch others profit later? And if this video has helped you, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel for more deep analysis on future topics. Write in the comments, would you get into a fully self-driving car without a steering wheel? And I'm curious about your opinions. Until the next video, stay invested, stay critical, and stay curious. Thank you.